college radio station in America on the intercollegiate broadcasting system.
Everything you want to hear from the voice of Cerritos College, wpmd on the net, where people make a difference.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob JF, here at Cerritos College, located at Norwalk, California. At this time, I would like my guest to please introduce himself.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? I'm Joey, the Mastermind Hyphenate, hip-hop recording artist, producer, filmmaker, and positive community leader.
Cool. Now, one of the things I like to talk about also is how my guests tell their story. And, the first thing I like to do is, depending on like their field, let's say, for example, is the inspiration. Tell me about the earliest inspiration that led to, your interest in music.
Okay, for sure, man. Well, I started doing music kind of late compared to most people, I think. I was an avid filmmaker. I was passionate about being a filmmaker when I was young. That's the first passion I discovered when I was in 6th grade, I believe. And throughout middle school, high school, I used to turn every project I could into a short film. And one of the parts that I wanted to explore further in the film world was making score music. So that's how I kind of fell into music. Was I wanted to make my own score music for the films. If people are not familiar with score music, it's like the mood music that you see in movies or TV shows that kind of set the tone for what's going on, like something scary, something happy, etc. So it's not really like songs, but it's it's leading music that just gives off an emotion. So I was already doing my own editing, writing my own scripts and directing, that kind of thing. And I got a program that, a bundle package that allowed me to do, the video editing, the latest software, as well as score music. So I wanted to explore that realm. And then I tried that for a little while, and it came with a bunch of sounds and utilities for making all types of music, popular music, hip-hop music, etc. And I had watched the movie Hustle and Flow. I also had watched like 8 Mile and like a variety of movies with a hip-hop influence on people making music. So I was like, why not? Like I always try to do everything that, comes my way. If it's a positive thing, I'll give it a go and see if it's something that I enjoy. And I started making beats, and they sucked. In the beginning, they were terrible, man. But little by little, just kept at it. And over time, I got kind of decent at it. And after I made like a beat that was not the greatest, but it had potential. For just some random reason, I kind of had like the urge to write rhymes to it. I had never been passionate about making hip-hop music as far as like being an MC or a lyricist, and I just kind of wrote some rhymes that went along to the beat, and I stayed up all night. It was my senior year in high school. I believe it was March 23rd, I think, of 2007, and I made the beat in the night. I had school the next morning, and I got super excited that I stayed up all night till like maybe 5:30 in the morning. I ended up making the beat. I wrote the rhymes. I recorded myself with a boom mic, a shotgun microphone, used for film. That was one of my pieces of equipment, and I didn't have any audio recording equipment for like music, but I used that, and then I put it on CD at the time, and I took like an hour nap, and then I got up, got ready for school. I took my car. Me and all my friends would hang out in the morning before school started. We'd all take our cars and just hang out in the parking lot. I brought my car. I brought my CD. I went to one of my friends' cars. Everybody was already by his car. And he had a dope sound system, so I was like, hey man, have you heard this new song? I gave him the CD, he played it, and like halfway through the song, he's like, is that you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And people ended up, it wasn't that great, man. It was kind of whack, but people liked it, and it kind of took off a little buzz. It was like a fun song, and that's what started me on the path of really making music. And shortly after that, I really discovered my passion for the art form of hip-hop and all kinds of music. I produce all types of styles now too, but that's where it started, and my inspiration really just came from everything, really. It came from the film world, it came from music that I enjoyed, from stuff that I would hear, and just inspiration-wise was just really like wanting to try something new, and then that's how it came about.
Tell me about the impact that you believe that hip-hop and rap has contributed to society lately.
Well, I think it's always had a big impact, and lately it's definitely been even bigger. The way I see it's hip-hop and rap has become essentially the most popular art form for the mainstream media. There's still other genres of music across the world that really sell a lot of records. But as far as like the media, the mass media, and TV and cross promotional sponsorships and all that kind of stuff, I see hip hop being the focal point of that. And I feel like, in all honesty, if we're gonna get into this conversation, there are pros and cons on the impact that it has on society. I come from a very the type of hip hop that I make and the hip hop that I'm influenced by is a lot of underground hip hop, which is not really the type of hip hop music you hear on the radio. It's very different, like two different worlds almost. What's on the commercial mainstream hip hop radio and TV, I feel it's very entertainment based, and it's all about kind of selling records and making sales with simple things that are attention grabbing, and a lot of it has in all honesty, in my opinion, kind of ideals that aren't kind of the best that we should be glorifying, but it sells for whatever reason, and so I think there's a pro and con there are several pros and cons, but as far as the impact goes, there would be some part of the impact where it's really creating a consciousness of, or actually a lack of consciousness. It's essentially getting people to focus on money and cars and sex and drugs and that kind of realm. And I think a good portion of the people that listen to the mainstream hip hop music, they kind of end up following down that road because they think it's cool. On the flip side, though, there are some artists that are bringing out some consciousness, thought-provoking content, and talk about real-life issues. And I think that ends up becoming very positive for society when we can talk about a variety of issues as well as like enjoy the music within it. So there'll always be all types of different music, and I just think that hip hop, for sure, it plays a pivotal role in society. People end up kind of glorifying the artists that they hear, and they want to be like them. And so depending on who they're listening to, they're getting some type of message or some type of teaching. So because it's one of the more popular genres out there, and it's all over the place. It's on almost every radio station. The artists are always like on billboards, TV shows, movies, etc. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of impact that hip hop music has on society.
Great, and we'll be right back for these public service announcements.
Hi, I'm Bill LaValle from the Country Rock Hour.
I'm Asante Chavis from Misfits 101. My name's
We had
Zach
a
from the Bernie
list that
Nation.
had the
Can't support
commercials and stuff
WPMD.
already
And it's
programmed,
easy.
so now
Just
I'm messed
visit our
up.
website,
really?
wpmdonthenet.com.
Once you get there, click on the
That's pretty cool.
Amazon.com
Yeah.
banner near the top
Whatever
of the
works.
That'll
Yeah.
take you to
So,
Amazon.com.
we'll test the
Then
music
just
thing
shop
a bit
as you
with
always
this one,
do.
because this is
WPMD
supposed to be the
will
one
get
that
a percentage of
controls
your
the
purchase.
device.
And so will
Okay.
the Cerrito College Foundation.
And it won't cost you anything extra.
It's
Yeah,
a great
we
way
had
to
us
help
first play a promo, then
WPMD.
And get all
a
those
live
great bargains at the same
commercial
time.
one,
Remember,
and then
go
another
to
public service announcement
wpmd1net.com.
to make us do it
Click on the
twice on the show.
Amazon.com banner and
Oh, okay.
start
Cool.
shopping.
It's your way to make a difference.
It's cool, man.
The place where people make a difference.
Is it your
Is it
first
promo?
PMD
Oh,
sounds
no,
legit.
I've been here for a
Thanks
while
for
already.
helping us out.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We truly appreciate it.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. There are safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Teach your kids the 5 bystander tips. Number 1, tell a trusted adult, like a family member, teacher, or coach. Number 2, help the person being bullied get away from the situation. Number 3, be a friend to the person being bullied. Number 4, set a good example. Do not bully others. Number 5, don't give bullying an audience. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn more of how to be safe. Simple ways your child can be more than just a bystander. A message from the Ad Council and WPMD on the Net, where people can make a difference.
If you slowly lost the ability to walk, what would you remember?
So this
about your
gets
final
played
steps?
like on campus at all, or is it
Yeah,
just
the speaker that's outside there.
With,
Um,
or wish to have the strength
on
to
top
take
of that
just
though,
one
our
more
advisor was
step
able to
with someone you care about.
figure out how to get us
Victims of
through to
ALS lose
iTunes
the
like
power
to
to
impact.
relax,
And then
eat a solid
he also,
meal,
I mean, he
hold
does like
someone
everything
close,
for us. So like how
and simply say,
trying ways
"I
to
love
expand
you,"
our audience.
before losing the
He also
ability
found a way to get us
breathe.
onto the
Most
tuning app.
often, they remain
Nice.
So
aware and
we're on the
alert to the
tuning app,
world
and
around
then
them as their
I
bodies
individually just
gradually
started
shut down.
Periscope account for my show.
You don't have to know someone
And then
with a
that
disease to
will
know it must
record
be stopped,
video,
and that those
and then I
affected
just
will be
manually
supported.
upload that to my
Join
YouTube channel
ALS
after. So we're
associations walk to defeat
multiple,
ALS and help us find treatments and a
some
cure
half
for
live,
Lou Gehrig's
and
disease.
half will stay. This one if it stays 24
You
hours.
should
This
put the video
stays.
camera up here somewhere so you can see like yourself and the guests, no?
Well, sometimes I have those side by side because I think maybe then it'll. Oh, let's see. And we are back here on the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob J.F. here at Cerritos College, Norwalk, California. And I'm back here with my guest.
Joey the Mastermind Hyphenate. Or you can just call me the Hyphenate.
So, there's a lot of different editing softwares and stuff like that. Were you self-taught? Did you like take classes and stuff to try to get better at it and stuff?
In regards to film editing, yeah, I was pretty self-taught. I started making my own videos when I was in 5th grade, actually. I was heavy into wrestling, WWF at the time, now WWE. I still am to this day, but at that time, I was like 10 years old, and I used to record myself, record the matches. We used to do backyard wrestling, and most of the time in the house. We used to set up like blankets and types of like little platforms for like kind of a ring and soft spot, so we can get body slam, choke slam, all that kind of stuff. And I used to use my mom's video camera. I used to record the matches. And then what I wanted to do at one point was I wanted to create my own entrance videos. Essentially, they would be the highlight videos with a song where I would walk in like from the Titantron when the wrestlers come down the ramp. So I'd like walk into the room with the music and the edited video on the TV screen. That'd be my entrance video. And I didn't have at the time none of my family had any computers or anything. This was like about the year 2000, I believe. And my uncle, he knew a very simple editing method of just recording. We used to have the video camera. They used to be small tapes, and VCRs was still heavy around at that time. So he showed me how to record from the video camera to a VHS tape and like pieces, so that I can kind of create an edit, and then from there take that VHS edit into another VCR while connecting a stereo to play the audio with like a splitter. So the audio would come from the VHS edit tape and then come in from the stereo. They would meet, and then they would go into the new VCR. So you get the video feed in the new VCR, audio from both the stereo and from the original edit tape. So then that's how I would create little videos, and created my own entrance videos. And I was like very fascinated by that, and I wanted to do more projects like that. So when I was in 6th grade, I believe, or 7th grade, I kind of started doing, in 6th grade, I started doing a skate video. I started getting into skateboarding, and I still skate to this day as well. And I did a little skate video, that same method. And at that time, I was already kind of getting better at it. And I was like, oh, the next way to go is get a computer and do editing the way like some of these other professionals are doing. And my mom saved up money. Nobody knew in my family how to do anything with computers, really. Like, my uncle knew some basics, but nothing about editing. My mom saved up some money. She got me a laptop. She got me a video camera. And she bought me some very basic editing software. I didn't even know how to use it. I just I saw it like a Radio Shack at the time. And I was like, oh, like this says you can edit videos. Like, I want that. So my mom got it for me, and I just toyed with it for like days, and I didn't understand anything. It was like a foreign language to me. I was like, what does any of this mean? And I just kept trying things, and I wasn't getting the hang of it. I was getting frustrated. Finally, I figured out how to like import the video and then start editing. So this was, again, this was probably 2001. Maybe 2002, the beginning of it, and that's where like the first video editing started, like with a computer. And after that, I knew that's what I wanted to do, like for my life, or like a part of my life. And so I just dedicated myself to figuring things out. I would read magazines. At the time, the internet wasn't like the internet was around, but it wasn't very it wasn't filled with information the way it is now, with everybody posting up tips and tutorials and stuff. YouTube was nowhere near. So, didn't even exist yet. So, yeah, I just learned as much as I could on my own, and I just played with it. I just played with it as much as I could, and I would turn any type of project I could into a short film, a video, And then yeah, man, like fast forward to now, like there's so much. It's so accessible. It's so easy now. In regards to the way, like compared to what it was before. But yeah, video editing, and to this day, I'm still very active with that. I do all my own music videos. I edit my music videos. I write the concepts for the most part. I direct the filming of it, etc. So I have a blast with it. There are definitely a lot of programs, a lot of things that you can do easy, some more complex. And I always still, to this day, try to learn as much as I can. I wanna know everything and be able to do everything.
So what are some of the programs?
Oh, some of the programs. Some of the programs that are just popular, Sony Vegas Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut, for video editing. When I first started, I don't even remember the brand that I used. It was like it was like literally $50 for that video editing program that I got at Radio Shack in 2000. But my favorite editing program right now to use, and actually has been for about 10 years or more, is Sony Vegas Pro. I love Sony Vegas Pro. It's very easy to use, and then you can connect with a variety of third-party plugins. So I have like all kinds of extra stuff with that. But I also have Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects for certain things, and yeah, there's just so much out there. Like it's fun, man. I have a blast with it.
How about for audio?
For audio, when I first got my editing program, or my music software program that came with that bundle that I mentioned a little while ago in regards to making score music, was a program called Sony. What was it? Sony Acid Pro. That's what it was. Sony Acid Pro 5 was the one that I used. And I made so many beats on that for years without even having like a MIDI keyboard. I literally just, I didn't even know how to make music with that. It took me forever to figure it out. Trial and error. And I ended up writing in audio notes with like my mouse to create beats. It was crazy. I don't know, like looking back at it, like I don't know how I made beats that way. But so Acid Pro, at the time, forever, Pro Tools has been like the leading for audio as well. At this point, I use Pro Tools for recording, but I do all my mixing and all my beat making on Logic Pro, which is an Apple, it's a Mac only software, but I love that software. So Logic Pro, but there's so many out there. Like Native Instruments has a variety, like with Machine. There's Cubase, Fruity Loops, all kinds of stuff. But my favorite to use for making beats and mixing, Logic Pro. For my recording purposes, Pro Tools.
So do you like Macs better than PC?
Honestly, I like PCs more than I do Macs. But I have both. I have a Mac just directly only for music, and then all my visual stuff, like anything that I do, photo editing wise, video editing wise, graphics and animation, that kind of stuff, I do everything on that PC. I just love PC. I love the interface. I love I don't know. It just has, I'm just more comfortable with it. But both of them can really do the same thing. But just personal preference, PC for sure.
Cool. Now, for those that might not be aware of, the video making process and stuff like that, I was taking a look at your website. Well, first, let them know what's your website.
Okay, so my website is themastermindhyphenate.com, all spelled correctly. It has everything about me, as far as me being an artist, a filmmaker, etc. So my website will have my bio section. It has all my music where you can buy my music. It has links to my music on iTunes, Google Play, Rhapsody, Amazon, etc. My website has all my videos, my music videos, my beat making videos that I have all from my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is the Hyphenate TV, but again, everything that's on my YouTube is on my website. It also has my store. I have a clothing line entitled Doubt Me Apparel, and it's about believing in yourself even when others don't, and that derived from a song that I have entitled Doubt Me. And I have my blog where I talk about a variety of situations or issues or thought-provoking consciousness, or sometimes just thoughts that I have. So you can read my blog, buy stuff, order stuff, check out my music, watch my videos. I have so much on there. Just if you guys want to be entertained, go to my website, themastermindhyphenate.com.
Cool. So I was checking out the videos, and the cool thing I noticed is you use some green screen, right?
I very rarely use green screen. I think there's only one music video that I've used a green screen on, which was a music video that I did for Look Closer. It's a song off my new album, Fighter. in 2014, but it was a simple music video, and I'm actually remaking that video to kind of get more complex with the video aspect on it, especially now that my support base has grown since I first released that. But I think that's the only video that I have using green screens.
And then there's like some special effects, like I like there was you know that monster one also.
Oh yeah,
digital.
Monster.
So
Yeah.
tell me about the process that goes on with making effects and stuff like that.
It varies. Some videos have different effects, so some of them are very simple effects where they're kind of plug and play type of thing, and you essentially just kind of layer it on, and then you have to choose a way to blend that effect over, so that way, you know, the background disappears and you only get the visuals that you want. And then there are some where I have to actually create stuff from scratch, like on Adobe After Effects, and you have to create objects and create lighting and create all kinds of stuff to kind of make things move or do essentially whatever it is you want. So getting into that whole process would kind of be a lengthy conversation. There's a lot of detail. Most people probably would be like, what? But yeah, there's just so many different special effects softwares and plugins. I like using a lot of like plugins or like add-ons essentially, where you can drop them into a timeline and then you can chop them up, change the color, change the speed, add other effects on top of those effects, and kind of just make it different. I have a music video entitled Beast Mode, which there's a lot of fire. I don't know if you saw that one, but essentially they're like torches and like kind of fire in front of me. That actually, they're real video clips of fire, but it wasn't really there when I was there essentially. So I filmed in front of just a black background, and then I added in all the smoke, I added in the fire overlays, I made them move, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of different ways you can create different types of effects, but I try to do as much as I can with like practical. I try to make everything as real as possible. I try to go to every single location that I want. So again, there are very few effects on most of my videos, but I do definitely try to add some in to kind of give it a little bit more flavor.
So now that you have the website, like you have more of an audience. But tell me about the early days, you know, before internet, like your progress. Okay, like first I learned YouTube, so I made an account, and how did you progress all the way up?
Okay, so when I first started kind of making music and kind of getting serious about it, I still wasn't fully in love with the art form, but I was kind of falling in love, and I was like, oh man, like I really enjoy this. The biggest outlet at the time was MySpace. And I used to have a MySpace music page, and I figured out how to kind of create, I kind of figured out basic coding and how to create custom layouts and stuff like that. So I've always kind of been very hands-on with every aspect of what I do. So I always wanted to be as professional as top. I've always tried to be as next level as I can compared to where I really am, that type of thing. So I've always been like 2 steps ahead of kind of by putting a lot of dedication to figuring things out. So my MySpace music page looked pretty dope. My music still, again, wasn't fully there yet. I was still developing, but it looked good. And then I did have some beats that kind of sounded good, and I put the tracks up on MySpace, and I would share them on MySpace. I used to get the embedded link, and I would like message it to people like, hey, check it out, I released a new song, that kind of thing. I was still trying to get the hang of social media and try to like on how to promote yourself. I had like my personal MySpace page and building up, and that one had kind of like, somehow I got semi, I don't know how to say this. I got a lot of love on my personal MySpace page. I used to get like a decent amount of friend requests per day, and I used to get like a lot of, I guess you can say attention. I don't want to use that word, but it just there was a lot of movement on my personal page. So when I made my music, when I was trying to like switch over people there to kind of get more movement with the music, but realistically, my music wasn't that great at the time. But there was potential, and some people liked it, and I met a good friend through MySpace, who's a good friend now. He heard my music, and he made music, and he reached out. His name is Upwards, and he's a beast. He's a super dope lyricist, a great friend of mine. And he heard one of my songs on MySpace, and he was like, hey man, I like that song, like we should do a song together. I was like, oh sure. And then that kind of built up from there. And so I was really just trying little by little to figure out ways to kind of get out there more and share the music with people where people would listen. At that time, one of the things that actually happened, which was really cool, was that guy, Upwards, I didn't know, his brother was actually really, really famous on YouTube. And to this day, he still is, and he's massive. He has his own TV show, movie, etc., all kinds of stuff. His name is Shane Dawson. A lot of YouTubers, especially back in the day, like the younger kids, like they used to watch his channels. He has millions of subscribers. So me and Upwards made some music together, and we bonded very well as friends and as artists. And we started making a bunch of songs. And then I come to find out that his brother's famous. But again, to me, it didn't really matter to me because that had nothing to do with me. And I was just interested in being friends with my friend Upwards. And he invited me to be a part of some of his brother's videos. And that gained me like massive followers on YouTube just for being in his videos. And I recorded and engineered one of his songs. It was a Telephone parody that he did, the song Telephone, Beyonce and Lady Gaga. He did a parody on that, which to this day I think has like over 9 million views. And so I was in that video that he did. Also, there was a second video he did, which is like a behind the scenes where he comes to record with me in my little studio, and I do the mixing and stuff. He gave me like a shout out on Twitter. That like gave me a lot of attention on YouTube. So instantly I started getting thousands and thousands of subscribers. That YouTube channel ended up getting, within like less than a year, like 13,000 subscribers. And so the momentum was gaining, and but again, I was still developing, so like my sound wasn't polished, that kind of thing. But that helped for sure. When Twitter came around, then I started kind of building more on there, and then Facebook was still kind of very basic at the time, but it was expanding, so I started using Facebook more. Instagram was still not around. And that kind of, I got a little lucky there with getting a lot of attention because of what I did. Luckily, I did a good job on Shane Dawson's song and being in his video. That helped a lot. But then I tried. Once I started becoming more professional with my music and my career and that type of thing, I wanted everything to be in uniform. My Twitter, my YouTube, finally Instagram came out. And Facebook, everything. So I wanted all my URLs to be in uniform, the hyphenate. So like twitter.com/the hyphenate, Instagram.com/the hyphenate, YouTube.com/ I wanted now the hyphenate TV. Before my first YouTube channel was very, I don't even know how to like really get, this is a long story, but it was Joe-E videos. And it was hard to like for people to remember or people to even understand what the hell I was saying. So I ended up wanting to create a new YouTube channel. Actually, I contacted YouTube and asked, hey, like I want to change my URL and my YouTube channel name so it could be in uniform with everything else. And they said, no, that's not possible. We can't do that. The only thing you can do is if you want a different URL, create a new YouTube channel. And I asked a few of my friends who were YouTubers, and they were popular YouTubers, and they're like, don't do it. Like, don't create a new YouTube channel. People are not going to transition over, and you're going to lose a lot of people. And I was like, well, yeah, that could happen, but I want everything to be as professional as possible. So I did it. At the time, too, life was happening. I had a lot of things going on in life that slowed me down from the hustle of my music. So I started losing momentum. At the same time that I lost momentum, I created my new YouTube channel, The Hyphenate TV, and I definitely lost a lot of my subscribers. Like, people did not transition over, and I kind of had to start from scratch. So right now, where I'm at right now, I'm over 1,000 subscribers, but compare that to 13,000 subscribers like years ago, it was kind of a bad move. I should have just stayed with all the subscribers I had and just kept going with that. But the YouTube channel sucked. So 2 years ago, I think YouTube allowed you to change your YouTube channel name, but that was already like 3 years after I made that transition, so it was pointless. But yeah, man, just trying to do things creatively on YouTube, trying to create music videos and share links on Facebook. MySpace had died out. So then trying to spread links on Twitter, and then every time I would gain supporters, then I would kind of like interact with them. And to this day, I'm very active with everybody on my social media. So Facebook, Instagram. Sometimes I lag a little. Sometimes it takes me a few weeks to write back. But I always try to sit down like every couple weeks to kind of like write back to everybody as much as I can. But there's a lot of social media out right now that makes things very accessible for you to connect with people. And I try to utilize that as much as possible for sure. But yeah.
So the inspiration for your name?
The name, Joe-E. Okay, so my name is pretty long, Joe-E, the Mastermind Hyphenate, but I go short with just the hyphenate. So on my URLs or when I do shows and stuff, I just put the hyphenate just to make it shorter. But the full-length name, Joe-E, the Mastermind Hyphenate, is underground hip-hop inspired. Some of my favorite artists from the underground hip hop world have very long, articulate names, and two of my favorite, one of my favorite artists and one of my favorite producers. These are their names, and I always found them very fascinating. It's Icon the Verbal Hologram, who is now Vinny Paz, the lead artist of Jedi Mind Tricks. I love that name, Icon the Verbal Hologram. When I first heard that, I'm like, man, that name is incredible. It's long, but it sounds so awesome. And then the producer from Jedi Mind Tricks is also one of my other favorite names. His name is Stoop, the Enemy of Mankind. And I was just like blown away. I was like, man, like when as soon as I start getting better and I create like my image and everything, like I want a name like that that's long and articulate. In hindsight, I don't know if it was the best move because it's so long, but luckily I can go short with just the hyphenate. The Joe E part, the J-O-E, that part comes from my real name is Joey, Joey. So I wanted my name to sound the same as far as like my artist name and my real name. So that way people are like, hey, Joey, like they yell out my name or whatever. I turn around and I'm like, oh, that's me, you know? So the Joey came first, and then I was going to film school. I was in college studying film because I wanted that to be my major. I came across the term hyphenate while in film school. And a hyphenate in film is someone who does two or more roles, which is like, say, for example, Steven Spielberg. He's a director and say he's the producer. He'd be a director hyphen, which is a dash, director dash producer. So then he would be considered a hyphenate for that film. And I love that term. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh man, I'm a hyphenate. In all the films that I do, I direct, I write the concepts, I do the editing, etc. So I'm multiple hyphenate. There are multiple hyphens in you know all my projects that I do. And then I thought about, oh, in audio, I do the same. I'm now having gone to school for audio engineering as well. I'm a professional audio engineer. I'm a writer, recording artist, producer, etc. So I'm a hyphenate in audio. So as soon as that came across that term, I was like, oh, I want that in my name. So it was like, at first I started going Joe E the hyphenate, and I was like, oh, like I like Joe E the hyphenate, but I still feel like there's something missing in the middle, just to kind of make it a little bit more elaborate or more articulate, or I don't know what it was. I just wanted a little bit more pizzazz, I guess you can say. And that's when I came up with the Mastermind. I have high self-esteem, and I just kind of like the idea of Mastermind, and especially with like the hip hop world, of like, oh, that sounds like kind of powerful, like very confident, very strong. So that's where the name Joe E, the Mastermind hyphenate, comes from. It's 9 syllables, I believe. Pretty long, but again, everybody can just call me the hyphenate for short.
And then I noticed also on the website it mentions tours. When did you start experimenting with tours?
Yeah, I tour pretty often actually. They're generally small tours, short tours, but I do several of them per year. I first started performing, I think the first time I performed was in 2009, and but I was like pretty nervous. It was like my first show, and then I really started getting serious about performing in 2010. Where I had my first show at the legendary Fat Beats. It was like one of my first real hip hop shows, and I was pretty ballsy to go straight into Fat Beats. For those of you who don't know, in Fat Beats is one of the most iconic hip hop shops of all time. They would sell records. They would do in-store shows. It was right off Melrose, and it was there for so long. They got rid of it.